Welcome back to the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. My name is Lydia and I am your host and wedding photographer based in Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland. Today on the show I have the lovely Natasha Bowen, or you may know her as Tasha. She is a lovely celebrant. She has done lots of weddings and has the most beautiful and infectious personality. We had a really great chat and covered so much. We go into how Tasha got started and became qualified as a celebrant, loads of incredible advice around the ceremony, as well as the timeline and structure of your day, key tips from a celebrant and MC, advice around speeches, some crazy stories, and dealing with ceremonies in New Zealand's weather, as well as some beautiful wisdom and amazing relationship advice. So much goodness in this one, so let's get straight into it. Enjoy episode 44 with Tasha. Hi Tasha, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. So excited to chat to you all about weddings.
I've been so excited, coming on to here. So thank you so much for inviting me and having me here.
No worries. So you are a celebrant and a very busy woman. So to start off with, if you could just tell us a bit about you and your background, how you got into it, and the journey that's led you to where you are today.
Yeah, so I've been a celebrant now for 3 years. Like this year is going on to my year 4. And I started right on COVID. Like the year that we got COVID, I was really amped and ready to work. And it was like, we're going into lockdown traffic lights. And I was like, oh my gosh. So it's been, before I became a celebrant, 10 years before that, I actually thought when I had gone to a wedding and I thought, wow, I'd love to do that. And I also felt like maybe the celebrant just missed a couple of things that she could have really touched on if she had been really in tune with the couple. So, when you think about something and if you're really hungry for it, you would actually set out and you'd go through the steps to do it. And I didn't. It was just a passing thought. It was really just a nice thing to do. Fast forward 10 years later, someone said to me, Tasha, you'd be a great celebrant. I was like, I wanted to do that. And so I decided I'm going to put on my big girl pants and I'm going to find out the steps to do it. And I just got right into it, did the process. It wasn't easy. It's a lot of time. So you got to be really sure that that's what you want to do. And then when I got qualified, I did 2 free ones to start off with because I wanted to build a portfolio. So I did 2 free ones. My first one was 6 people, so that was perfect because you don't want to start something and then you've got like 200 people there and it's like I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm going to half wing it. And then the second one that I did later on that month, because when I did a pay it forward, lots of people came in and said, "Oh, my friend would be good," and tagging people in, which was wonderful. And I only opened it for like a month because I didn't want people who had plan this big weddings, like get a free celebrant. I'd rather do it for people that were never ever thinking about getting married. So that was really special in itself. And then from there, got a couple of photos and testimonials and just started building my portfolio. So on Saturday, I'll do my 270th wedding.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
crazy. I
I
was
know.
just going to ask how many you've done, but that is a lot in like 3, nearly 4 years. Wow.
Yeah. I'm so grateful, honestly, but I think that when you're authentic and when you're genuine and you're experiencing love yourself, you can really elevate that ceremony to the next level. It's like, I can relate. I know where you're at, like all the lies and that you're feeling.
Attract the right
I've got,
people.
yes, yes.
Amazing. Can you talk a bit about that process? What does it look like to get qualified?
It is time consuming. So there are people might say to you, Lydia, and say, "Hey, Lydia, please do my wedding." You might have a friend or a sister, because doing a wedding and getting married by your sister or your friend or your brother is just like, oh, it's so personal and it's really cool if you could do it. And the process that you have to go to, it's like, oh my gosh, this is a lot for me to just do one wedding. And so by the time that you go online, there is the Celebrant Training School, which I didn't do, but I would recommend for people to do it now that I know what it involves. And then when you go online, you do an open test, which they ask you 10 questions that you must get right, all of them right. You have to ask between 6 and 8 people to write your reference, and there's a criteria that they must put inside the reference letter. So it's talking about who would you be representing out in that in the celebrant world. So we can't have like 1,000 middle-aged, white men going for the same thing. We need to know, like, can people relate to the to the genders, to the transsexuals? Can people relate to the Polynesians? And so it's like really just spreading the love. Once they do that and you submit that through, which you have to do within a certain time frame, if not, you have to ask people to resubmit again for the timing purposes. Then you've got to like talk about yourself and why you should be a celebrant and why they should pick you. Once you've done the test and you've submitted all of that, they will decide whether they would like to interview you. And then when you go in for the interview process, I think what they want is they want to talk to you and see how you come across when you're talking, because they want someone, they want to make sure that their standards are high and that you're the right person out there representing the celebrant world. So, and then after that, you have to wait for them to decide whether um, they feel like you're the right person. So you feel like you might come out and you go, oh, I've had such a great interview, but you're really just crapping your pants and you're crossing your fingers, hoping that they'll say, yep, we feel like you're good enough as well. So yeah, I was so excited when I got the appointment of you are now an independent celebrant. I was so excited.
That's crazy. I did not know it was that involved. And you do hear of people just getting one of their close friends or their sister to do it, but it's a lot of work just for one wedding, as you said.
When you get someone to do your wedding on the day, which is really nice, it actually takes practice to really, you won't ever be perfect, but it really takes a lot of practice to be able to perfect a craft and a passion. And you can't go back and go, oh, I really should have said that. It's like, no, you can't really mess around with people's day. You have to go out there and put your best foot forward, because you're like, to me, something that I say in my weddings is that when, this is such a important, and this is a serious day. So when I marry you, I'm only marrying you once, so you really want to be able to make it the most memorable for the couple.
Yeah, that's so true. It's I've been to hundreds of weddings myself, and it really does like set the tone of the ceremony and that really important moment for the couple. And yeah, you see good and bad parts of things that celebrants do, and you really value the good ones that are practiced and have put the time and effort into it for sure.
Definitely.
So good. So, can you talk a bit about the services that you offer couples and, yeah, that kind of process, yeah, leading up to the wedding and on the day? What does that look like?
So, what will happen is that if someone shows interest and they contact me through my website or maybe a referral or something like that, they'll contact me on Instagram or some sort of platform, or even just texting me. And I'll just ask them for their email, and I send them like a really detailed email outlining everything, because that could be my first and last time that I might hear from the couple. And I want to be able to let them know everything rather than give them a couple of sentences. Then they have to come back and email me and ask me more questions. And then, that process is probably going to just be too annoying for them. So I send them absolutely everything, like what my services outline, what I do, a little bit of a background of who I am, just so that there is something that they'll find there that's relatable, and already we will have formed like a connection. And then I send them like a few short videos as well, so they can hear me and then they can see me. They can see the reaction of guests at weddings, and also how the couples feel like in a genuine nature when I'm talking and when I'm when I'm bonding and connecting with them on the day. Like, is it genuine? Is it authentic? Do they like the sound of my voice? Is it calming? So I just send everything to them. And then by the time that they message me back, honestly, if they say we're interested, then that's already like a really nice process we've already gone through. The reason why I send them so much information right from the beginning is because they are excited and they are in wedding mode. So I know that they don't mind reading my big long email. They're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Like, I want to do lots of planning. So when I give them a lot of information, they already feel like, wow, this is really cool. When you ask for vendors, everyone can do like a certain of the same thing. It's trying to find a niche that makes you stick out from from everyone else. So I offer like my celebrant services, and then I offer MC services as well, which is really important. And then I don't advertise it, but I do funeral as well, which is like a different nature and a different type of energy required. But I think if someone likes how what you bring to the table, I think that they think that you might be a good fit for someone that they know. And I've even done funerals for a couple of grooms, so the connection is there. So yeah, it's really about trying to find the celebrant that has the right energy for you, the right vibe for you, and someone that you feel like can provide a safe place, and someone that you can trust to do the job that you want. Can they see your vision? And I'm like, yes, I can.
Oh, I love that. It's yeah, that's so amazing that you send them everything and like the videos and all that info so they get the full picture of who you are and what your services are like. And yeah, like you say, I think it is such an intimate relationship, I guess, you have with your couples. And it is like getting someone with the right energy and vibe is so important because it does set the tone on the day. Have you got a favorite wedding venue or a favorite wedding that you have done that you can think of?
Oh my gosh, so many people ask me this, and I'm like, I don't have one because like each wedding is so different. I think that a venue that provides an indoor and an outdoor option is really, really good. I definitely can't name names because like I feel like I'm going to miss out on some really crucial ones. And I'm thinking, oh no, they won't have me back at their venue again. No, I'm kidding. Um, but it's a flow. So the venues that are like my favorite are the ones that provide a really good flow. So do you have a ceremony that is outdoors? If that is where you're getting married, where is everything else? Like, will canapes, are they quite close? Are they going to be brought out to you? Do you have to ask your guests to like, walk for a long time to get to a certain like amenities, to the toilets? The bar staff, have you got like a party of 80 people, but you've only got one or two bar staff working? Those are the sort of things that I really look out for, and that helps to provide live. I don't know, it's sort of, there are things that are stationary that make your day great, and then there are things that are live that could make or break your day. And those are the things that are like music, your celebrant, your MC, and the food. Those are the things that can really change on the day. So hire professionals that you know and trust and can be vulnerable with, so that you can go, oh, cool, thank you, Tasha. Thank you. I completely trust you. Yeah, I trust what you have to say. I know you'll do a good job. And I like to assure them that, yes, I will do a good job for you, because I'm always learning every time I go to a wedding. I will always do feedback on the way home. Oh, I could have actually, this could have been the opportunity for me to say this or do something. And then I'll just remember for the next time. Having like a massive toolbox is very valuable.
Oh, I love that. That's such great advice. And yeah, all of those things are definitely sort of moving parts. I love that you do the MC service as well, because I've mentioned it before on the podcast, but that is such an important role. And yeah, as a wedding vendor, it's definitely that kind of point person that keeps things moving and is helping all of us do our job properly. So definitely
Yes.
value that. And if you feel like you don't have like a friend or family member that is going to be good in that role, not only a like funny, entertaining speaker, but someone that can keep things going the right time and keep things moving along and communicate to all your guests, then I definitely recommend hiring a professional because it's so important.
Yeah, definitely. I've been to weddings where they've got a different MC, but they'll use me for the celebrant and the ceremony version, the portion, and I love it. Like it's really, really good. And when I do both, it means like I've already sort of like got the trust of all your guests. They know my face, they know my voice. I've been able to probably do a wedding that has been um, had some like light tasteful humor. So that always relates to people because people always love to have fun and have a little bit of a laugh, right? They've seen me do a vulnerable side where I can be very sincere, romantic, just bring all sorts of different energies to the table. So when I'm doing the MC and that takes over from the celebrant role, that starts immediately after. So, as a celebrant, I like to tell people what we're doing after the ceremony. If I'm going to be emceeing as well, people like to know what they're doing, right? So, after a ceremony, if I know, like, oh, cool, we're doing drinks till like 5 o'clock. Okay, cool. Okay, that's okay. Now I'm going to think about how much I'm going to drink before I go in. Oh, I like to tell them what time dinner is going to be. And then I tell them, so you work out how many canapes you need to eat while you're drinking. And then people have a bit of a giggle, because they're like, oh my gosh, she knows me, like usually people don't eat, but you don't want to be that guy, at the wedding. You don't want to be that guy. We all love a piss person, but like there's like certain appropriate times that
There's a
you need to
line.
bring out your mates. Yeah. And with the MC, it needs someone to be really fun and firm. For example, once you've got to do the photos for the family and the group photos, I think about my couples that have already taken lots of photos with the photographer while they're getting ready and getting out of the car, getting in the car with their parents, doing a first look. And then once we get there, there's lots of photos that are done at the wedding, during the ceremony, which that doesn't really matter because you're too involved with the actual, your vows, etc. But afterwards, when you're doing group photos, and then you've got to go off and do your couple photos, I really want to maximize that time. You go back and mingle and socialize with your guests. So I try to make that group photo time really quick. And you've got to do it efficiently and you've got to have fun while you're bossing people around and telling them what to do. So there's like a real art to doing the photos so that you can smash them out and like a good time. Let the couple just catch a breath and relax and mingle with their guests before the photographer says, all right, like we're going now. We've got to go and do photos, and they're off again. Now, you just imagine people that hardly take any like selfies or photos at all. That's quite overwhelming. So, having an MC that says, right, you guys need to make sure that you're back at 6 o'clock. We're going to go in at the certain time. The MC needs to make sure the energy is there, the vibe is there. The couples have come back, the entrance is done, and then we're straight into the program. Now, when people, when I talk about speeches, people always go, oh, I don't want to do, speeches are so boring. And it's like, no, 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 no. We're going to make it interesting. So one of the things that I like to tell people about speeches is when your parents are doing speeches, they have right of way to say whatever they want and take whatever time that you give them. When you've got other people like your bridal party or your friends that are doing speeches or family members, I say to them, ask the people that are speaking, ask them to make their speech about you both, not about like how I grew up with you in primary and intermediate and how we used to like get up to no good and things like that. One half of the side of the wedding, they're like, cool story. Like, that doesn't even interest me, and then you lose concentration, you know. So and it means that if they talk about you both as a couple, it makes their speeches shorter anyway, but it keeps people engaged and like, oh, that's so cool, you know. So yeah, I definitely recommend having someone that is a professional MC, that if things go like overtime, they can make up the time somewhere else, and they know how to communicate to the venue manager. Can we delay dinner? Oh no, we can't. Cool. Okay, I'm going to make sure that we get this stuff done before dinner time. If not, I'm going to cut it. Let's have dinner while it's fresh, because it's all part of the journey and the experience. And we'll catch up a little bit later doing the other stuff.
You're full of wisdom. I'm just nodding my head like this is such great advice. And yeah, as a photographer, touching on that group photo thing, it can be a bit of a punish for people if they have this long list standing there. And I've definitely had times where they've just had a family member organizing it who gets chatting and then doesn't organize the next group, and it ends up taking a long time and you're yelling at people. So having an MC on a mic, just getting things moving is so helpful. And then, yeah, I love those tips around speeches as well, because there have definitely been some I've sat through hearing somebody's whole life story, and it's like, okay, we'll get to the point. What are we here for? So, yeah, I love that advice. Touching back on like what makes a good venue, and I know that Kiwis love to get married outside. We live in a beautiful country with some amazing settings, but have you ever experienced some wild weather or had to kind of pivot during a ceremony or anything?
Yeah, and it's been a learning experience for me. So there was a couple that got married out at an area where the ceremony area was just the most cutest thing. It was like you were in Hogwarts. It was like benches were in the forest. The archway was made, it grew into an archway. So that's where you got married. And it was just the nicest sort of area for you to get married. If it rains, however, it's not good. And I had a bride come through, and it was like the day of, it was one of the like dream days of her life, and it rained so badly, and she was walking up the aisle and she just cried the whole time. Now, for me, I could have really, and this is a learning experience for me, but I really could have delayed it. I didn't know what the weather forecast was going to be like, and everyone that was sitting out there had already been sitting in the rain. So I was just like, let's just do the ceremony. But it got worse and worse over time. So we did end up cutting it, and where we had to walk was probably about 150 meters away from the area, or even 200 meters away to the actual marquee. And such a poor thing, but we did it in the marquee and finished it off, and that was all good. Now, this is the thing, is that I do tell couples, try and have a B option. No one wants to have a B option because we don't want to almost jinx ourselves to having a B option. But I think it's definitely better to have a B option, because you want everyone to have a good time, and you also want to have a good time. The most important thing is that your partner's there and you're going to get married. So if you can stay nice and dry and make sure your guests are comfortable, then that's the best thing. There's definitely been some places where I actually did a wedding and it rained so badly. The guests actually got up and they went underneath the trees, and the trees were to the side of the where the wedding was taking place. And they said to me, "What should we do? Should we go inside?" And I said, "Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to get married?" We were getting rained on so badly as well. It was like, I had my iPad, so I was trying to, but I couldn't. It was so slippery that I
Oh,
couldn't
no.
even do the words. So I had to freestyle some of it. And they said, "Yeah, we just want to get married," and they didn't care about the rain. So I just said on the microphone, "Well, these two want to get married, so are we happy to just do it out here?" And everyone was like, "Yes." So what happened was we did the wedding in the pouring rain to nobody, because all the guests were underneath the trees on the side. And we still had a video camera that was set up. So it looks like it's only us three in the, underneath that altar space getting married. And I don't even know if you can see because, droplets, they just get in the way and they just make everything look grey. But it was beautiful. It was just perfect. Like I was happy that they wanted to just do it. They were just like, look, we love each other. We're here. We just want to get married to each other. And I was like, I was so happy. Half an hour later, it just fined up and then everyone got dry anyway. But they said they wouldn't have had it any other way. They wouldn't have liked to have taken it inside. They're happy how it all turned out.
Oh, so good. There's something magical about the rain, and if you can just embrace it, because unfortunately it happens in New Zealand, like especially North Island, like right through the year. And yeah, if you can just go with it or have that plan
Exactly.
B, then that is great advice. Going back to a bit more about the prep for the ceremony and stuff, do you recommend that people write their own vows? And if they choose to do so, do you kind of walk them through that process and help facilitate that?
Yeah, the vows is a very scary thing. Sometimes it actually puts people off from getting married because they think that the weddings that they've been to, that the vows are like compulsory. Vows are not compulsory in a wedding. They're just something that is with the moment that is happening and the occasion. It suits the occasion where you declare your love for someone. And I tell them, how do you feel about vows? And they'll say to me, oh, like some people will just be like, roll their eyes, or they'll just like put their hands in their face and just be like, I don't want to do it. It's freaking me out. So I give them suggestions and say, vows are not a compulsory part. There are other ways that you can um, declare your love for each other. And so I give them different options. Sometimes they don't have to say their vows. I can actually say it on their behalf. And, when you're saying your vows, you're not there to impress your guests. You're actually there for each other. So it doesn't really matter if that person is saying the vows or they're hearing the vows, knowing that the other person wrote them. It's still really, really special. So there are so many suggestions that I make when I'm having a meeting with a couple, and I say to them, I'm going to make a whole bunch of suggestions. Now, it's not for you to change your mind if you are very happy with a certain way that you do things, but I want to give you the option so you can go, oh, I didn't know that I could actually have it like that, and that suits my personality better. Or they could say, oh, that's so cool. I didn't actually know how to start vows, so I give them templates. And I've even got bride and grooms that have shared their vows with me that they said, yes, you can share it to help other people. So I've got different kinds of vows that are short, a little bit longer, some that have got really funny parts in it, some that are just so away from tradition, but I want to give them a guideline to say it is really up to you. It is up to you what you want to say to your partner. It's coming from the heart. You don't even have to say vows at the ceremony time. Some people just go up on the hill and they decide that with a videographer and a photographer there, they'll just say their vows to each other. But I also want them to be proud of something that they've said. So if they feel like they don't want to say too much, but they do want to bring something to the table. I just say, look, have four opening statements or sentences and then follow it up with like three vows. And they can be light-hearted humor, they can be serious, they can be lovey-dovey. It's totally up to you. But I want your whole ceremony to reflect your personality so that once everyone leaves, they go, oh my gosh, that ceremony was all about them. That's so them to a T. And that's what I tried to aim for. So with the vows, I I would recommend not to try to memorize your vows. I know that some couples want to do it because they feel like that would mean so much more if they could do it and speak from the heart. You can have you can have your vow book there, or you can have your card there, and you can actually say it in a way where they know that you mean it, like it's coming from the heart. Um, I also don't want people to wake up and while everyone's getting ready and having bubbles and having something to eat, I don't want you to go to the bathroom and go, oh, I've just got to, no, I've just got to go and learn something. It's like, be present enjoy your day, have fun, because I know it would have cost you a bundle to be able to put on a day. So the least you can do is have like 100% fun.
I love that. It's just a bit of an unnecessary stress to think that you have to memorize them. Like, there's no pride in it. Just read off a paper. That's absolutely fine and still just as meaningful. And yeah, I love how you personalize the ceremonies and encourage couples to do that. So it really reflects them. And like, there's nothing wrong with doing a stock standard ceremony if you want, but yeah, sharing a bit more about you, even if you do want to keep your vows private, just personalizing it a little bit is really special for you and your guests. You've sort of touched on it, but I have had a lot of couples saying, or I've heard that they're quite nervous about that part of the day. And especially if you're someone that doesn't like public speaking or has a bit of social anxiety, they can get really afraid of doing that at their wedding and having all the attention on them. So, yeah, do you have any tips on how they can stay calm and confident on the day?
Yeah, it goes right from the beginning. So when I do my email, there's already an element of, oh, I feel like she could be a good fit for us. When we meet and I start talking, they feel more comfortable and more vulnerable, so they start to tell me things that it like allows them to open up. I like to have a rehearsal. Some celebrants might not want to have a rehearsal. I like it because then I get to see the couple again. Because some couples will book me out a whole year and a half out, and I might not have seen them in that time, but we've been emailing and that, and messaging each other. So by the time I see them at rehearsal, it's a good chance for me to meet them, for me to meet their bridal party, and for me to meet their parents. So that on the day I'm not introducing myself to the parents, they can be like, "Oh, hi, Tasha," and I'm like, "Hi, Lynn, hi, Sue," and we already have that level of friendship and connection. So we're feeling really comfortable. Sometimes the couple are nervous because they feel like they've got so much to do. That's what your bridal party is there for, to take some of that heat off you. So it's little things like who's got the guest book and how are we going to get it there? It's sort of like, well, your groomsmen are going to be there early, so get them to do it and set it up. And I had rescue remedy on the day because back then I thought that you just picked like a senior celebrant that had white hair and that's all that was available. So I was like, cool. And what I paid for them, even though she was such a lovely lady, what I paid was that was the value that I got as well. I didn't know anything about a lot of how to be prepped for a wedding day. I didn't know about emotions, how overwhelming it could be. So that is something that I touch on with the guests. I talk to them about how overwhelming that it's going to be. So it sets them up to be like, okay, I knew it was going to be overwhelming, but hearing the celebrant say and knowing that I can trust her, I feel already a bit better. Things like just I always like to make sure that the seller, like once the bridal party, like once the couple have gotten married, I always like one person from each of the bridal party to hang close by so that it's their support person. So I can understand that bridal parties have like partners that might not know anyone, so they go off to them, and that's fine. But they need to have someone there. It makes them feel comfortable straight away on the day, knowing that she's going to have photos soon. So I'm just like, oh, can you get my makeup, or can you get my lip gloss? And then the groom is like, hey, bro, can you just like make sure that this is being done? So they've got people to look after them. Already they feel supported and already they feel a lot calmer. I like to assure them, like when we're at the rehearsal, I always say, trust me, I am going to look after you up there so that they're not by themselves. They're with someone that knows what they're doing. And I just say to them, you just look after each other. You're not acting for anyone else. You don't have to worry about anyone else. You ask them to come here to share and celebrate your day. It's about you both. So try and stay as present and as calm as possible, and you'll actually enjoy yourself. I can't really say it's just a couple of things. It really, for me, it's about the whole journey right from the beginning. You will start to gradually feel a little bit better about the day. And you'll actually get excited. You're like, oh my gosh, okay, it's not as scary as what I thought. It's actually cool. That's one of the things why I like to do a rehearsal as well. So I say, even though it sounds like a lot of structure, on the day, we just roll with it. Like if it doesn't happen, don't even worry about it. I'll take care of you guys.
Yeah, that's so good. I think people sort of get nervous about it, but it's not like you're facing an audience of hundreds of people and having to like recite this memorized speech. You can just focus on each other. You can just look at each other. You don't have to look at anyone else if you want. And then you have that person, your celebrant there guiding you through everything. So it is just like relax, be present, take it all in, and it's not really up to you. It's going to be run and facilitated for you. And so, yeah, not to worry so much if you can.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes if I feel like they're getting a little bit like uptight and a little bit stressed out, I'll just throw in a little ad lib funny or something like that to make them just and then they just sort of catch their breath thinking to themselves, oh my God, why am I so nervous? It's totally okay. Like it's totally normal to be nervous. The thing is that when you're together, every exciting time you share with each other, you're always there. Even when there is a time of vulnerability and you're actually quite sad or something is painful, you share that together. When you're getting married, a lot of times you're like by yourself with your girls, the other guy is by himself with the boys, and you're going through this massive shift in your day and your emotions and your heart and in your gut, that you can't share it with them because they're not there. I'll see them at like 3 o'clock, but that's what makes it really overwhelming and nervous. And I just say, look, turn your nerves into excitement. It is going to be one of the best days. And they're like, okay, Tasha's got us. Yeah. Okay. And we'll just go and have a shot at the bar and then we're sweet. Yeah.
So good. Can you talk a bit about, you have been to so many weddings and I think you have already given so much great advice, but yeah, can you talk a bit about DIY weddings versus turning up at the venue wedding?
Yes. If you have a big budget, go for a venue that you can walk in and out of. If you've got that, then that's perfect. I did a bit of a DIY myself, and it was a lot of work. If you've got a big crew that you're able to count on to be able to set that up and take it down, awesome. What I love about couples is that they feel so good knowing that they can have a sleep in because they don't really need to get up and go and take things down and have to ring people up to come and pick up marquees and that. It's I don't know, like honestly, if I had, my husband would kill me if I said this, but if I had to do it all over again, there would be different things that I would actually change. Had the best day, but knowing what I know now, then what I knew then, I wouldn't have wanted to stress myself or people out by having to do certain things. So yeah, DIY, honestly, go simple because it can still be simplistic and it can still be beautiful and make a place look really, really nice without having to spend a whole bunch of money on things. If you're a creative person and you love doing all that artsy, crafty stuff, then that's so cool because you make it really homely and personal. If you're a busy person and you're just like, no, and you work really hard and you've got a bit of a bigger budget, then I say go to a venue that will be able to do all of that for you. Then you don't have to coordinate people. And on the day before, you don't have to go, did I message them? Did I tick that off? Like, who's going to take that? You don't want those sort of things to be playing in your mind. DIY versus having a venue that you can walk in and out of, it's a personal preference. I like both, whether someone spends 100 grand or someone spends like 5 grand. I think if you've got the right people and you're doing it for the right reasons, none of that artificial stuff matters. It's just a nice to have.
It's definitely something to consider if it's for you or not, because it's not for everyone, and just thinking about which one suits you best. So you are married yourself, and I know it was a little while ago and before you were a celebrant, but yeah, can you talk a bit about your experience planning your own wedding and what it looked like? And yeah, anything you kind of learnt from that.
Okay, so I had a very active husband. So I would just do lists for him and he would go out and do it. He didn't want to have to do the thinking. So, a lot of us as women, like we play like mums and dads, like with our dolls, and we talk about like all the romantic things, and we grow up like dreaming about a wedding. We watch TV and we think, oh my gosh, she looks so pretty. So we have this vision and we dream about like getting married. Boys don't, they don't really, the grooms don't dream about getting married. They can't even remember like where they put their shirt that day or what they're wearing. So that's something that brides needs to realize, or people in couples, they need to realize that there's probably one of the people in there in that relationship that's got strengths and weaknesses. So when a groom, and I can only speak from experience in terms of dealing with couples, when a groom says, oh, what, I'm happy with whatever you want, that's a good thing. They don't want to stuff it up and say, oh, we'll go with this for the sake of making a decision because you wanted them to. Just spend their money and do what you want to do because it's going to make you happy. If they don't have to do that part, then they know they're not going to stuff it up. And people don't like failure, so they don't want to be rejected because it was a stink idea. It was like, well, it's not really my thing. So I had one of those diamond in a dozen husbands that was able to go out and he just ticked the boxes and came back and said, yeah, okay, what's the next thing to do? On the night before, when we planned stuff, okay, everyone's got like a folder and they have like everything itemized what they want to do. Because unfortunately, when you get married, it's not one of those days where you can reflect the next day and go, oh, babe, next time that we do this, we're going to do it this way. It's like, no, you only have one chance to do it. That's what I think gets people so a little bit sort of highly, anxious because it's like, I think I've forgotten something. And that's why I always say, walk through the day as a guest, walk through the day as a bride, and walk through the day as a groom. So you can see, like, oh, okay, where's the toilet? Will I know where to get a drink? Will I know what I'm doing from this time to this time? So I've been married now over 10 years and with my partner for over 20 years. Now, when we celebrate our anniversary, I don't go happy 10-year, baby. I always say happy 2010 or happy 2111 because those extra years is what allowed you to form this beautiful relationship for you to go the next level and go, yeah, we're ready to get married. So that's something that I always want couples to remember. Don't disregard the years that you were together because those were the hard conversation years. Those were the years that it took of deep conversation, maybe having harsh words at times, um, forgiving and being forgiven. That's what led up to the day. Like really, I always think and say it's your reward for not killing each other. You know, especially during the planning. I was lucky enough to have a friend that was trying to get into event planning, and she said, let me do your wedding. So she did all the decorations and she just took my vision. I try to keep it really simple, but she kept on coming up with these cool ideas. So I ended up going into yeah, let's get that. Oh my gosh, let's do that. That's where your money goes, not on like a venue because you already know that cost, and not on the other things that cost a lot. It's all those little things. It's like, oh, that's only $80. Oh, that's only $100, and those are the things that actually add up and go, how did we get here? Leading up to the day, the planning, start at ground zero. Think about the things that are non-negotiable that you really, really, really want. Don't worry about all the other fluffy stuff. It's not really, really that important. Some people like to organize a lot. They go, oh, we want to play games and we want to do these sort of things while we're away at our photos. And can you do this with the guests? And I just say, look, don't worry about your guests. I promise you, they're going to have a good time. They're dressed, They don't have to pay for the food and drink. They're enjoying beautiful music. They're probably talking to people that they haven't seen in ages. I said, you're okay. You know, you don't have to entertain the guests there. You think about yourself when you're at a wedding, knowing that you were dressed up and you haven't seen anyone in ages. It's a beautiful scene, so you have photos with your partner or your friends. So you want to keep it simple, because when you jam so much in a timeline, and you feel like all you're doing is thinking like, when's the next thing? Okay, the next thing should be happening. It's like, don't even worry about that. Just relax and have a good time. You've got a good DJ, you've got a good MC, you've got like a good celebrant, and yeah, you're gonna have a lot of fun. So it's I don't regret my day at all. It was really really awesome. But yeah, there's so many resources, podcasts, that you learn from. There's like Pinterest that you learn from, lots of stuff on TikTok. So my experience, awesome. Um, Leading up to the day, if you want it to be relaxed, you do need to have structure, and you need to have someone that will do that structure for you. My brother and my husband's cousin were MCs, and they were awesome. They were great. But now that I know what they went through in terms of, I hardly saw them, probably because they were nervous and running around trying to do stuff because they'd never done it before. So they just wanted to do a good job. My brother even split his pants, in the throes of like getting from A to B. I would hire a professional next time. It's just that when you're planning a wedding, you just don't know. So I say hire some professionals so you can be like, yay, I can just close that chapter and let um, this person take care of it. Cool, I can just let this person and just like relinquish some of those responsibilities that you don't have to worry about.
That's such great advice. I think that a lot of couples, when they're planning their wedding, they're kind of putting themselves in this host role. Like, I'm hosting this big party and I have to make sure everyone's having a good time and entertain them the whole time. But you should really try and step back and almost be a guest yourself. I know it's like a bit different when you're the people getting married, but if you hire the right people and have that structure and everything, then you can be present and enjoy it and not be worrying about the next thing or whether people were having fun or drinking or eating enough and all of that, because it shouldn't be your responsibility on your wedding day.
I think that when you wake up, you should be making the least amount of decisions. I have found that sometimes people will ask the bride and groom a couple of questions about something on the day, and they'll just say yes, but in hindsight, that's not actually what they just weren't thinking. It's an out of body experience. But you are right. You should be thinking about it that you are the guest of honor. You are not the host. I always say to the couple that your celebrant, MC, and photographer, we let you know where you're going and what time you need to be back. Your venue manager and your MC will then let you know what's happening, making sure that you're okay with it and making any changes to suit what you want happening for the night. If you feel like, oh, you know what, can we just do this cake cutting now rather than like later on, then I'm all for it. Because people are so, you're like got your guests into the reception, you are now waiting for the bridal party to come back in. Everyone is really, really hyped. So why don't we do the cake cutting straight away? Because then it can get cut up for dessert later. If you decided not to do dessert, but just make the cake for dessert, cut it up, get it taken out the back to cut up, be cut up for later. And one thing that I do really, really highly recommend is that you do your speeches before dinner. That is one thing that I like to tell my guests. And the reason why is because people are alert, like they've just gotten a drink, they've just finished chatting, they are hyped, and their concentration levels are a lot better rather than the whole eating. And it's like they're sitting down and they're like, okay, now we've got speeches. So there's nothing to stimulate their mind to get their body up and moving again. Also, if people are doing speeches who don't like public speaking, but they will do a speech for you, if they do that before dinner, they will enjoy actually eating their dinner. And it will be one thing for you to tick off that of the formality. So after dinner, it's like, yay, we've just got the first dance to do, and then we're partying. But if you're eating dinner when you come in, and then we've still got a cake cutting to do, and we've still got a game to play, and then we've still got speeches to do, it makes it feel like you can't really quite relax yet. You can't really sort of feel like you can get up and go around and talk to your guests because you've still got quite a few things to do. People are not going to be starving because they've already just had canapes, during that reception hour. And um, a good celebrant or a good MC will have already told you what time we're eating dinner. So they would have been like, okay, cool, I'm feeling good. I've had something to eat. I've had, a good amount of drinks. So now I'm ready and I'm okay. Dinner's about 45 minutes away or an hour. That's totally all good. Okay, let's listen to the speeches.
That's such great advice. I think timeline is so important. And yeah, it's hard if you've never planned a wedding before, but I definitely recommend speak to your vendors, ask for their advice on that. And yeah, doing speeches before dinner, that's a key one. I've definitely had people that are doing a speech or bridal party on the day just kind of holding back the whole day because they've got this anxiety and they're like, oh, I'm only having one drink because I'm doing a speech, and then after that I can relax, and they're sort of building up to this big moment. So if you can get that done with and then people just relax and enjoy the rest of the night, then that is a great way to do it. I feel like you have already touched on so many things, but in your opinion, what makes a good celebrant, or what is something that couples should look out for when they're trying to decide who to get to be their celebrant?
I think it is really about what is your priority for the day. If you are more into, I just want to get married quickly and, get into the party, then it probably doesn't really matter about the type of celebrant. If you're looking for like a cheaper celebrant, you'll just go shopping until you can find someone that like suits your budget. But what makes a good celebrant is if they can make the celebration start from the beginning. So when you get to the reception part and the partying part, you're actually doing it for a reason. Like that was the best ceremony that ever. And it like the drinks taste different. The dancing is different, it just elevates that everything else from after that. I don't actually know what makes a good celebrant. I think it's someone that listens to what you want and can provide some options for you. I think it's about how you feel about your person that you're meeting. Like if my email gives you good feels, then that's cool. Wait till we meet. And then if what we're doing is belly to belly talking and that makes you feel good, then that's even better. And if it's making you feel really comfortable for the scariest part of your day, then that's got to be a good thing. Maybe money doesn't matter, like how much a celebrant is going to cost. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I think it's picking a celebrant that you feel like is going to do a good job for you, someone that you can trust and someone that's going to be helpful. Like, I don't want to ring someone up if I feel like they're always too busy to answer my emails, or they give me like not a really genuine, authentic answer and they don't feel like they're helping me. I feel like I probably wouldn't open up as much and I couldn't really be myself. I need someone that I'm going to trust at the most vulnerable time. And yeah, you're going to be really freaking out on the day, but that's the exciting part because there's not really any surprises left. Like getting and proposed to is like a massive shock and an excitement. The birth of a child, if you're lucky enough to have babies, that's like a massive exciting deal. And the I want the ceremony to be another exciting deal. When I speak to couples, sometimes they go, "Oh my gosh, I'm like looking forward to the ceremony now, like way more than the reception." And I'm like, "Yes, that's how I want you to feel. I want you to have fun. I want you to get excited because it's one of the best things that you can experience ever." It's not the best day because you're not getting married every day. So all your other days are going to be crap. So it is one of the best days that you're ever going to have. some people will do their homework, and they will have like maybe three celebrants that they're gonna like interview or meet with. Now, I've never gotten every single meeting that I've had with couples, and I'm happy because if I'm not right for them, they're not going to be right for me either. So if they choose me based on who I am and the style I give, then it's going to be so easy to work together because I don't have to pretend to be anything other than myself. And if they like my style and they like me, then they're going to get the best of me. And I'm going to try my hardest to get the best out of you for such a vulnerable day. And I want it to be memorable for the best and the most like perfect reason. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's the most important thing, just finding someone that you click with and yeah, you can see being involved in that important moment on your day. And I love what you said about getting excited about the ceremony and enjoying it because I think some people are so anxious about that part of the day or they just want to get through it, have the shortest ceremony possible and get it over and done with quickly. But you really can do a lot of things to make you enjoy it and relish in that moment because it is such a big milestone. That's when you're actually getting married, like that is the moment. So definitely do all you can to enjoy it and be present in it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
So, you have given so much wisdom today. It's been so good to chat to you. And yeah, I just want to ask if you have any advice for couples planning their wedding at the moment. You've already given so much, but yeah, anything else you wanted to add? Maybe not even necessarily around being a celebrant or MC, but yeah, any advice for them?
It's one of the best days, and if you are ready to get married and you've got all those really fantastic values, I like to go back on people's vows, and I like, when someone says I will support you, that's not support you for these things, it's support you for everything. If you are someone that wants that person to be better, and you help them grow, and you feel good as a person being able to give as well as take, and you complement each other. It's not even about having a perfect relationship because that's just boring, but it's about like how do you work out when you it's about like how do you respect each other, how do you trust each other in the relationship. Do you fight well in terms of, okay, we've got a couple of boundaries, we've got a couple of guidelines when we're not in a good place. So my husband and I, if we always talk about an amnesty table. So if I say to him, which I haven't said in ages, which is good, is we talk about an amnesty table where I want to talk and I want to let out my feelings, but that other person, they don't talk at all. They just listen. So they don't give you any feedback. They just take a moment to process how you're feeling. Because sometimes just being able to talk about how you're feeling is enough for you to almost find resolution for yourself. And when the other person is processing that information, they're not jumping to conclusions and making it all about them and then putting it all back on you. So it's sort of like having those sort of boundaries and guidelines about how do you work things out together. Because, there's a lot of things that can hurt a relationship, but how do you make it grow? And we don't sleep on the couch. That's not one of our rules. We also don't leave the house, so no one goes out and tries to go out drinking and purposely doesn't answer calls, to make the other person worry. We don't do that. We're grown ups. That stuff is beneath us. When we were ready to commit, we were all in. We were 100% all in, and that's something that I touch on in ceremonies as well. I say that it's not 50-50. We are 100% coming in together. So yeah, there's just be ready. If you're ready to get married, you're getting ready for life, So it's a lifelong commitment. It's not one of those things where all of a sudden they've given you the ick, and now you're like ready to bail out. That's not what it's about. You trust someone with your love and your heart, and you just hope that they're going to reciprocate, and you can just have like this fantastic and beautiful life together. So yeah, I just enjoy your wedding day. It's like just the coolest thing ever. So it's you've invited all these people that you love the most. They've come from overseas, they've come out of nowhere. You're never gonna get the same people in that room again. I might not see my nana or my grandpa ever again, you know. So it's so memorable, it's so special. It's just one of the best. So yeah, I could really go on for ages, but I know that we can't keep going on until the sun goes down.
Oh, that's so good. I think that's so important, just building that really solid foundation of your relationship first and being ready for it because it is a big commitment. But yeah, really focusing on having that down pat and good communication and everything because a wedding day is so exciting and a big build up and journey and stress and everything. But what you have after that is your relationship, and that's really the most important thing.
Yes, you should be a celebrant, Lydia.
I'll stick to podcast and photography for now, I think.
No, it's great what you're doing.
Oh, amazing. It's been so lovely to chat to you today. Is there anything else that we missed or you want to touch on as we wrap up?
Oh, geez, I don't know. Honestly, I really could go on for ages. I tell my couples, look, if there's no one to get excited with you, ring me up and we'll get excited together. But I've built a good foundation for me to be able to do this is my passion. So I got two other part-time jobs, and this is my passion and my sweet spot. And someone asked me, would I ever go full time with doing celebrant work? And I wouldn't, because I just want to enjoy it, and I don't want to compromise or jeopardize what I know my value as being and what I can offer you on such a massive day. I don't want to have to take every single wedding, even if it doesn't suit me. I don't want to. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to a couple. It's like go with someone that really, that is belly to belly with you. So yeah, you're right. That foundation about relationship after. Don't talk about honesty and support and open communication if you can't take that into the next level in your relationship. Don't make it about that wedding day where you just said cool stuff. Be about it, walk it and talk it.
So good. Oh, you're amazing. I think anyone would be blessed to have you involved in their day. And yeah, we'll definitely link to all of your things in the show notes and you can go along and follow Tasha and just soak up in all that wisdom and advice. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. You're doing such an exciting thing for people. And if you're tuning in for the first time, honestly, follow this girl. You're doing great things. So thank you for inviting me on your show and being able to share my experiences and the good feels about being a celebrant in UMC.